Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Roosevelt Abandi. I'm a Microsoft Student Ambassador from Nigeria. I know it must have been another time zone in India. So in India, probably in the evening. So I'm welcoming you all to this event, which is utilizing SharePoint with Power App. So today we are going to do a briefly how we're going to use SharePoint and connect with Power App, because Power Apps have been in existence for some time and it has been very, very helpful with business. But today I'm going to streamline this um, event into the education sector. So let me proceed with my slides. So what is Power App? Power App is a part of Power Platform Suite, which help you to build and deploy customized apps that work across any device. So Power Apps, there are four major components of Power Platform, which we have Power Apps, we have Flow, we have Virtual Agents, and Power BI, which stands for Business Intelligence. These four services are integrated into Power Platform, which helps businesses to increase their productivity. And Power Apps is one of these services that we're going to look through today so that we can understand what it means. So if you're a business, or if you're a developer, or if you're an amateur, or you don't know anything about coding, Power App is the right platform for you, where you can build apps with low or no code. So if you don't have any experience in coding, Power Apps will help you to give you that experience of a click or a drag and drop experience, so that you can create your apps. And it's basically standard app, so you don't have to worry about that. Oh, is it a click or drag app? Will it be optimized? This Power Apps is very, very, very powerful. We'll look at it in a few. So what are data connectors? Data connectors are streamlined. They are like bridges, like when you're connecting your Power Apps or other services to your data, and it helps in two-way authentication. So if you are going from Power Apps or other services to data, or you are going from your data back to your Power Apps or other services, this data connects you, help you to connect these two platform together, so that you can increase your productivity. So then again, we'll talk about SharePoint. Remember, we're using SharePoint as a connecting tool with Power Apps, so we need to know what a SharePoint is. So a SharePoint is a web-based service provided by Microsoft, used to store, organize, share, and access information from any device. So let's look at SharePoint as is just like a container where you put a lot of things. And SharePoint is very, very big. Only SharePoint has over five services just under it. But today we are going to be looking at the list part, how we're going to store data in it, and with the help of SharePoint connector, which is available in Power Apps. Now, SharePoint list is like I said, SharePoint is a container. So a list is just like a database where we are going to store all our information. And this SharePoint list has three things, three factors that we're going to look at, which is one, the items. And items is like the record in a table in the database. So it is going to be referenced with a column, which is depicted by the fields, which fields are used as a column in the table. So in a column, for example, let's assume we have a column of names. Well, we have an item of what name. So wherever item we're going to put um in that name column, it's going to be referenced as an item. And also we have views. Views are how you want your items to be displayed in SharePoint. And remember, all this is web based, so if you have any device, you'll be able to um, um access SharePoint. So we're going to straight ahead go to the hands-on demo how we're going to build this um, quiz app with Power Apps. Then we'll learn how to integrate SharePoint into this Power Apps. So let's go. So the first thing we need to do is to go into, let me share my screen. Come in. Okay, I hope you can see. So the first thing we need to do is to go to the Power Apps, and how we can get there is by typing the make.powerapps.com. So this make.powerapps.com is a studio where you can build your um, Power App applications, and you can also share it with your people in your business organizations. So first, we're going to build the Power Apps quiz. So we're going to start from a blank app, and we are building a Canvas app, a blank Canvas app. So we're going to create a blank Canvas app. So we're going to name this quiz, and let's keep it to phone version. You can also create a tablet version, but let's keep it to the phone version. So we're going to create. Okay, so we are displayed with a welcome message whether we want to start with a gallery or not. But then, since we are going to build from scratch, we are going to give the a demo of how everything is being created. So first, the first screen that appears is a default screen and there's nothing on it. So we're going to have we're going to look of how a quiz app is being made, and let's implement something. So the first thing we're going to do is to put a title bar so that we will be able to understand what app we're going to build. So we'll create a label, and we name this label quiz. Then we'll put a color. Let's put this color white. So we do color value. So FFF in sixth place stands for white. You're going to close it, the parentheses, and we're going to put a fill color. You put the color value. So I have some templates of basic color that we're going to use. So I'll do that in a second. 94. So make it look like, okay, so let's check our app again, our text. So put it a quiz app. Oh, going to undo that, name this a quiz app. So we're going to put this in, let's leave it as center. Yes, then let's change the writings. Okay, then let's give it a font size of 28. Yeah, I think this look better. So it takes a lot of time for us to, every time we need to put a color value or we need to put a font or a background color. So let's quickly create a settings page so that whenever we are creating a new page, or wherever we're creating a new label, we can easily like reference those things. So we'll create a new screen and let's name this settings. Let's name this the settings page. So in this settings page, let's give it black. Let's make it a black color, a background color of black. And let's add a new label. Let's name this background color. Let's name this background color. Let's make the color so I'm going to name it, give it a color value, which will be referenced at every point in time. So this is 96400. Okay, so it's appearing here. So let's create another one. So we name this one primary background color. Let's just leave it a primary background. So we'll go again, we'll create a new label. Let's name this primary field. Bring it down a little. Name, keep it text fill color. Then we want the color to be, go and get a color for it and put the color value. Color value of, this is one of my favorite colors. So 14BDEE. Then also create a last one. So create a new label again. And I'll put this, rename it to primary color. So we make this a white color. So this will be the font color. And the color, we set the color to white. So this color value, So yes, so we've created our settings page where we'll be able to reference all these colors when we are building our app. So let's go back to our first screen. So let's name this screen onboarding screen, or let's just leave it at boarding screen. So a boarding screen is a screen that displays before the actual um, the app before the actual app is being rendered. So this is how the boarding screen is going to be. Then we have a background color. Remember how we how we're going to reference those colors. So we're going to name it with the primary background dot color. So let's go to the background comment. No, normally when we reference this first two, let's see another color. Okay, okay, it was the primary field. Maybe I need to get some settings. Okay, let's change this to primary field, and let's change this to primary background. Let's change this to primary background, then as well primary color. So we can see how we're able to reference all these colors using the method of primary background. So what appears in a boarding screen? Let's just write a few information of our boarding screen, and a boarding screen could have all those next, so that we can go to the next page. So let's create a button. Let's add a button. So you can actually see that what I'm actually doing is just a click and drag experience. It does not mean that you need to start coding. It just give you the feel like very very simple. So this we change it to next. We change this button name to next. Let's give it a let's change the fill color. Let's change the fill color to the primary fill. Primary fill dot color. Oh, lost it. Why is it not coming again? Our color is right. Okay, let me see. primary background that color came. Oh, I think I made a mistake for this. Yes, yes. So let's try it again. The primary fill. Okay, yeah, here we are. So let's give it some. Um, let's give it an image. So we're going to create an image. So set this image to fill and we'll insert the image we want. So I think I have some images. Okay, let's put it this. Okay, then we're going to make it look cool. Let's give it a border radius of 180. So it looks okay. Then let's welcome users. So tell them welcome to our quiz app. So we format center size 28. That's cool. Let's give it the font color. Let's give it the font color. Let's give it the font color of primary color. Font color. Let's give it a background color. So let's fill the color to primary fill. Okay. So it's not referencing the color. So let's check again what's going on. So we have this. Oh, okay. I missed one F. Okay. So we're back. Okay. So here we are. So this looks, let's center this a bit and do this. So here we are, we've created our onboarding screen. So one of the next things we need to do, we need to create on that screen where we'll give instructions of how to use this app. So we're going to create a screen, and this screen, give it a background color of primary background dot color. Then we give it remember we have the home, the um, nav bar. So we're going to copy this. I will paste it. So you can actually copy and paste. It's like PowerPoint, it's like using PowerPoint. So let's change this screen name to boarding instruction. Boarding instruction space. Okay. So we are set. So let's give it some writings. So I come here, instructions. Let's give it color. Let's give it a primary color. Primary color dot color. Let's make it formatted. So let's make it bold. Let's change the size to 32. Then let's see. Let's see this no, and give it another one. Okay, I think this is better. Then what are the instructions you want? So insert another label. So what are the instructions you want? So let me just give a random instruction. This quiz takes place every Sunday. Make sure you log in before you before you take this quiz to record your results. And okay, let's leave it like this. So let's format this. So go back to the home, we format it, make it bold. We drag it so we can see. Let's keep it as semi bold. Let's see. No. Let's go. So you can format it to um any format. Let's give it a color white. Let's stick to white color. Let's go with our white color. So we give the primary color dot color. Okay. So okay, let's make it let's make it more authentic. So let's put this, let's give it the feel of the primary feel. Let's give it still feel. Hey, so let's take this and this. So remember we first created the boarding screen, this. So we need to connect this screen to the boarding screen. How do we do that? By using the navigate function. So in the next button screen button, um, we'll go to unselect. So what the unselect simply does is that when you click or when this button is selected, what happens? So the default value is always set to false. So what we have to do is to make it something by navigate through the screen. So this is a function provided by Power Apps. So we're going to navigate to boarding. So we are going to navigate to boarding instruction. So if we save it, let's save this our app. Let's save this. So it's always a good thing to save. So let's share it. But before we share, we can run our app, and this is what our apps look like. So if we click next, it takes us here. So we can see that the navigate function is working. So let's go back to building our app. Let's close this. So in the boarding instruction, we also need the next button because that is where our app begins. So create a button. So if you are someone that know how to use colors, your color selection could be actually better than mine. So keep this a fill, and we already know what we are filling that color with. Fill. So give it a primary color or primary fill color. So after this, we want it to navigate to the screen where we have our quiz. So we create another screen, create a new screen, and we call this screen home. So our home screen will have the background color of primary background, and it will also have the nav. So we copy this again, we paste it here. So in the way to set our question, one of the way we can use to set our question is by using radio buttons. So we insert a radio button. So what radio buttons are is that it entails its values in a list, so that this list you'll be able to reference this list in whatever we are doing. So this is the closest to making a quiz. So this we're going to use. So in order for us to enter the value of this list, so we're going to use the way we reference list, and that is by using the square brackets. And the square bracket will enter the values of what is needed in the square bracket. So if you need only one in quotes, we'll use probably Microsoft. If you want to enter another list, we'll enter it again with after extending with the comma. So we use Apple. Let's try one more. Amazon. You can see how we've created the list value using the radio button. So this looks more like what our quiz is going to be formatted with. So let's add a question to this quiz. So we'll add a label, and we'll name this question, who is the founder of, oh no, Bill Gates is the founder of. So this is our question. Let's do some formatting. let's make this bigger. Let's go back to home. Let's make this bigger, bold. Okay, let's make this bold too. Size. Okay, then for this, let's change the fill color so that whenever a radio button is being selected, to change the color to primary fill color. Whenever I select each or any of these values from this list, this the color that is going to be set. That is why we are using the radio selection fill. So this will be question 1. So after this question, what happens? So we need to move to a new page. So we're going to create a new screen, and we name this screen question 2. But before then, but before then, what we can simply do to achieve it is to duplicate this screen. So let's duplicate this screen instead. Let's rename this to question 2. So for our radio, we're going to change the, the values so that we can be fast. So let's put it in, let's give it some questions. So the questions will be, which is not a service from Power Platform. So let's put virtual agents, and let's put Power Apps. So for this, our questions would be, which is not part of Power Platform. So we format them so that they look presentable. Okay, so what we do again, we duplicate it for our next question. Forgot the question mark. So let's just duplicate this one more time. And our question would be, can SharePoints be used to store data? So let's leave this to yes, no. So we're going to delete the last item in the list. So let's go again. We name this one question 3. So duplicate this again. Another question. Let's just take 5 questions. Then we can do what is necessary. So we rename this to question 4. Question 4 screen. And our question will be, Does Microsoft, okay, okay, let's ask this question. Who is the owner? Who is owner of Teams? Who is the owner of Teams? So give it the question list. Google, Facebook, and Microsoft. So format this. So just drag it a little. We are good. Then one last question. So our question will be, do okay, are power apps connectors over 270? This will also be a yes or no. So we'll delete this. So now that we are done with creating our questions, we have to we have to connect all the questions so that when you answer this first question, it take you to this second question. After you answer this, it take you to this third question, take you to the fourth question, and to the last question. So for our first question, remember when we are connecting screens, we use the function navigate to switch through screens. So we're going to insert a button, sorry, not a label this time. We insert a button. And this button, we name the button next. We give it a fill. We give a fill of primary fill, that color. Okay. So after we're done with this question, we take it to the next question. So remember in the unselect property, what happens when the button is being clicked? So we go to the unselect button and I'll put it to navigate. So what are we navigating to? We navigate to the question 2. So let's run our app and see what happens. So you can see same thing applies for question 3. So all what we can do is just copy this, just copy the button. We go to question 2 and we can paste it. And you can see it, the exact place that we copied it from. That's where it went to paste. So you can see how quick you can build your apps with Power Apps. So we give this navigate to question 3. We go to the question 3. We paste it again. Take us to question 4. One, two, three, four, five. So in question 4, we paste again to take us to question 5. So all our questions have the next screen. And we can also make a previous screen to take us back to the next screen in case we are not sure of our answer or we skipped some. So let's make that happen too. So we come back here, we add the button. Let's name this let's name this text back. So let's format it properly. Okay, so we give, or instead of using the button, let's introduce our icon so that our app looks a little bit cooler. So let's go and get the back button. Okay, so I introduce the back button. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, okay. So okay, so name this on select, we navigate to home. So what we have to do is to copy, just like we always do. We come to our question 2, we paste this. So question 2, oh, we don't need it for home. We don't need it for home because home is the first quiz. So we don't need it for home, but we need it for our question 2. So it takes us back to home. Then our question 3 takes us back to question 2. Question 3 takes us back to question 2. Question 4 takes us back to question 3. And question 5 takes us back to question 4. So let's play our app and see what happens. So in the last question, you will click back. You can see it takes us back. You click next, it takes us back there. So I think yes. I think yes, we've used the navigation. So what we need to do again is, how do we collect scores? So how does the app know that when I choose a right button from this first one, it will be able to store the values of this score, and we can also display the value of the score later. So the first thing we need to do is the same way in our programming language, it applies here too. We can set a value of something so that it will be a temporary holder. It will be a temporary holder of that distance. So anytime it's being updated, anytime that score is being updated, it will it will display the current value of the score. So how do we do that? So let's come here to the next button, and we also use our if command. So our if command will go, so if the radio button we use is radio 1, if radio 1 dot selected dot value. So with radio buttons, whenever we use selected dot value, it will hold the value of the radio button. So Apple, if I click Apple, the radio 1 selected value will be equal to Apple. If I click Microsoft, the selected value will be equal to Microsoft. So let's go back. So if selected value is equal to, let's use it as the correct answer. So our correct answer will be Microsoft. What happens when correct answer is Microsoft? So we are going to introduce the set. Like I said, the set is a function that used to declare variables in Power Apps. So we'll set score, and set function, it takes two parameters, one the variable name and the value of the variable. So let's assume in our score takes for each question we want to appoint two marks each. We want to appoint two marks for each questions. So we're going to set score 2. We set score 2. This means that score is equal to 2. That's what this set means. But if we don't set score equals to 2, that means if the answer is not correct, what happens? We set our score equals 0. So in Power Apps, one of the ways which we can end a function is by using the semicolon. It's just like the normal way we do it in our programming language. So you can see how we'll be able to set our score equals to 2 whenever the right answer is being selected, or the score is equals to 0 whenever the wrong answer is being collected. So there's a way we can also show what we've done. Let's go to question 2 and put a label. Let's insert a label. Let's name this label score. And let's print the value of the score. Let's print the value of the score. So let's go back. So if I choose Microsoft, we can see the value of the score is 2. That's to tell us that our score now holds the current value and the right value. If we choose Apple, we can see our score equals 0. That's to show that our score is holding the wrong value and the current value of score. So let's go back. So this is just a tracker so that we'll be able to track what our score is. We can delete this. So remember, after we've set the value of our score, we also need to, for concurrent situations, we also need to update the value of score. So in our question 2, whenever we click next, what happens? So we go back again. So if the radio 1 underscore 1 dot selected dot value is equal to, so our correct answer in this case is which is not a part of Power Platform, that's YouTube. So if the answer is equals to YouTube, what happened? The true condition will be score or set. We are going to set score. So what is current value of score? Score was 2. Yes. Then we close this. So what this actually means is if the value of this radio 1 selected is YouTube, is going to set the current score with the previous score and it will add it plus 2 if the answer is correct. But if the answer is not YouTube, then it will actually not, nothing will happen, or it will remove the in this case it's going to make the value 0 or null, as the case may be. So this is a way which we are going to use to handle our score, so that we'll be able to um, reference our score later. So we can just copy this. We can copy this and go to our question 3 and select, we paste this, and we choose our right answers to be yes, and the radio button in this case is radio 1.2, not radio 1.1. So we go back again to question 3. Sorry, we go back to question 4. We paste it and give our radio 1. What is the radio button? Radio 1.3, and our answer is supposed to be set to Microsoft. Then question, so question 5. So okay, let's put a finish button. Let's put a finish button so that we'll be able to record um, what score means in question 5. So we'll put this, we name the button finish, and we'll put the fill color to primary fill color. Format this a little. Let's make it bigger. Okay. Let's make it bigger. Then let's pass in our unselect. Unselect. So for this, our radio button, the name of our radio button is radio 1.4. Our right answer is yes. Then when we click finish, what happens? So it's supposed to take us to a finished page. It's supposed to take us to a finished page. So let's use the navigate. Let's put this finish. Remember, we've not created a finished page, so we can create a new screen and name this page finish. So after we named it finish, you can see that it has stopped showing an error because the page has been created. So let's go back to our finish page and we'll do the normal formatting. So put the background color, put the background color, we'll copy our navbar, paste it here. So what do we want to display after finish? One of the things we want to display is to display the name of the person or the email of the person that took this quiz, and we also want to display um, the score. So how do we do that? Remember we created a container, or we created a variable called score. So we're going to reference the score at the end of our quiz, so which we are going to do in a few. So create a label and call this score, and our score is and score. So anytime we use and score, it is going to print the value of our score. So our and score, and again, which we are going to use to reference over 10. So we can see, let me format this so that we can see. So we can see the value of score over 10. So this is how we want to display our score. Let's make it a little bit better. Let's add another label. So in our label, we put it in there. So another way we can use again to display people that are going to use our app is by using the 365 function. That's user in bracket dot email. So remember we need the and this is going to print our user email. So let's format this. Let's make it 25. No, it's too big. Let's first make it bold. Let's change the size to 24. Okay, 24 is still looking big. I want it to show us. Okay, I think this is better. I think this is better. So let's view it so you can see. So this is what I wanted to show, the user email. If we had used name, we can use name as well. So let's text. So we can change this to name, full name. But because my environment, this is the name of my environment, so that's the reason why I'm using the developer's account. So that's why it's showing this same FNU. So in your case, probably when you're making your own app, it will probably show your name. Or it's because I'm using a dev account, that's why it's probably showing this. So let's leave it at email. I'm just showing you how you can use the 365 function to display information about a user using your app. So let's format this. So let's add an icon so that we can spice things up. Let's add an icon. Yes. Let's make this big. Okay, so let's put this center. All right. Okay, so after here, we'll click exit. So we'll insert a button and we name this button exit. So what this exit will do now for us is that, remember, collected all the values of the we've collected all values of score. So we need to integrate SharePoint. This is where SharePoint comes in now. SharePoint is going to help us integrate to Power Apps so that we can send all our score and the user email into a database so that we'll be able to reference it later when we are so that users can see the history of all the tests they've taken. So let's quickly create a history page or a history screen. Let's rename this to history. So we'll copy this navbar, paste it, set our background color, primary background dot color. So our history is going to display here. So now what happens? Okay, let's quickly let's test this app and see what our score gives us. So let's play this. So next. Oh, we haven't coded for this. So let's go back and check when we click on select for this. Okay, so we'll go and change it to navigate to home because that is where our quiz is starting. So let's go back and play our app. So after giving the instructions, next. So Bill Gates is founder of Microsoft. Which of these is not a power platform? YouTube. Can SharePoint be used to store data? Yes. Who is the owner of Teams? Microsoft. Are Power Apps connected over 270? Yes. So we can see that our score is 10. So now is about saving. So now one of the first thing we need to do is to go to SharePoint, because SharePoint and Power Apps, it takes actually quite a little bit long for wherever it's being created to display in Power App. I've already created a template for us so that in case of time, so we won't stay too long on creating a list with Power SharePoint. So one of the first thing in SharePoint that you need to do is by creating a site, and this site is where all the lists that we're going to create is going to appear. So we'll create a site. So this is how you create a site. So you create this private. Name of the site should be quiz. to store quiz data. We'll give it a description. You can leave it blank if you want to. Language English. Then we don't need to add members. So we can leave it at finish. So after creating a quiz site, we can also now create our lists. So we're going to create a list, a blank list. We'll create the list of quiz data, store quiz data, and we create. So it will create a list. I remember I told you a SharePoint list is a container that store our data. We can use it to organize and manage data. So now, one of the things I need in our data is we're going to hold. We need where we can store email. We need where we can store the score of the quiz, and we also need the time at which the quiz was taken. So one of the things we need is to add a column, single line of text. So the name of the column will be user score. We put a value of default value of 0. Um, let's see. Require that this content yes, and we save this. We also add a column for the user date. This will be a date and time. So keep this as user date. Keep this date and time. Include time. The default value is today's date. So what this does, it actually help us to automatically store date whenever data is being saved into this SharePoint list. So we save this. Then we change this. We need to change this title to something else. So let's go to settings. Let's go to list settings. Let's come to title. And this is where we're going to change it to user email. So we save this. So this is basically how to create a list in SharePoint. So we can see we have a column for user email, user score, and user date. So whenever the quiz is being taken, the details of user email, they will appear on this column, this field. Whenever the quiz is being taken, the score will appear in this field, and the date as well will be added in the field. So let's go back to Power Apps and um, display what happens. So one of the way to do it is to connect this our app to SharePoint, and one of the way is by connecting to data. In the left side pane of Power Apps, there's a data nav that we can use to add data. So we are going to add our data. So we are going to add with connectors. Remember, I told us that we are connecting with SharePoint connector. So we are coming to connectors. So we look for SharePoint. No, let's do this in the Let's do this in the history page. Let's go to our history page. Let's add a gallery first. Let's add a gallery first. So, so here we add our data connectors using SharePoint. So it's asking for my URL. So it has, okay, let me see. So let me enter the site. Okay, touch lab. Yes. Oh, no, no. Yes. Dot SharePoints. .com sites quiz. So let's see. Okay, by getting this error. Okay, let me go and check it again. So this is what we need. Let's go back our data. So this. Okay, so we connect it. Remember, we created a quiz data list. So we are going to check our quiz data list and we are going to connect. So we're going to change this to just title and subtitle, and we'll select our data source to this. So don't worry about that you can't see anything yet. Well, after we've gotten some information, we can now see what is going to be displayed at our history. But then let's go back to our finished. So what happens is that whenever we click this exit button, it's going to do about four things for us. One is going to send information from Power Apps to SharePoint. Another one is going what is going to do again is going to reset all options. Let me give us an example here. Let me give us an example. So if I run this app, so so what happens is that if I exit and if I go back again and run the app, I'm still seeing the values that has been checked earlier on. So one of the ways to do it is to reset. So that's why we are going to use the reset function, so that anytime we come back to this app or anytime we are retaking this quiz, the buttons or the radio buttons are going to be reset. So first, let's connect Power Apps to SharePoint. So let's go to our finish. Okay, finish. Should we do it here or there? Let me see where it's more convenient. Okay, let's do it here. Let's do it here. So let's format this a little before we continue. Okay, put the field, primary field, put color. Okay, so we are good to go. So let's, okay, the way we are going to connect this in from Power Apps to SharePoint is by using Microsoft um, Flow. So one of the ways to do that is when you are on your button, you go to the action tab and you click Power Automate, and you will see all the flows that you've used to connect with your button. But these buttons or these flows are being done before, so we're going to choose a new flow, or we're going to create a new flow. So we're going to create a new flow to take us to the Microsoft Flow page. We'll give it some time to load. So when it loads, it shows us some templates. It shows us some templates that we can use to connect from our Power Apps. But one of them that we mostly need is from SharePoint. So using SharePoint as a connector. So we'll use this one, add an item to SharePoint and send us email. So we're going to use this template. Let it load. Load in a second. We actually don't need this messaging, so we can actually edit. We are going to edit. Let's give it some time. So let's rename this. Let's rename this to quiz data. So we can delete this. So it's one of the things that I love SharePoint is that once you are able to connect your site address to your Power Apps, you're set to go. So we'll connect it. So this was one of the reasons why I earlier created this test script in case um, SharePoint is not being updated in my flow. So instead, let's use an custom value. So a custom site. Remember, these are our custom site address. So these are our custom site address. So copy this. So if your SharePoint is not showing what you've created earlier um in Flow, you can also use your custom site address. So we're going to paste this. Then it will ask for the list name. So you can see that it has shown our quiz data. So and this is what we actually need. So in our user email, we ask in Power Apps for user score. We want it to also ask in Power Apps, and we will save this. So after saving this, we go back to our Power Apps. You can see that it has automatically updated our flow, our SharePoint flow here. So we want to connect to this. So one of the first things it will ask of is the site address, create list items, and it keeps asking for this question, which will never work. So one of the hacks that I've also learned is to delete all of the flows and start afresh. So we're going to start afresh. Because why I said so, because in SharePoint, remember it was just two we needed to update. That is for the user email and for the user score. The user um the user um that is the user date. We wanted SharePoint to help us automatically fill those. So we don't need it to appear in our app. We just need only the user email and the user score. So we're starting afresh. So we use Power Apps. We click new step. What does the new step do? We want to use our SharePoint connector. But what does this SharePoint connector do? We want to create an item. So we use SharePoint create an item. Then come and enter the site address. SharePoint list. So you can see that the user email and sorry that the user score is showing now the default value. So I want this to go this. So let's save it again and try whether it's going to work. So come here and update. So we can see it's asking us for user email. So we come and put our user email. That is user.email. Okay, but because in SharePoint, remember I created the user score default value to be 0. So I'm going to remove that default value. So I'm coming back here to remove the default value. So okay, let's save this again. Okay, let me delete this. Okay, let's ask in Power Apps and let's save. Let's come back to Power Apps. Create data. Okay, so it's asking me for the item username. So I'll go and ask the user for his email. Its email. Then I'll ask the user again for the score. So I'll impute score. So let's quickly test our app and see what happens when we click the exit button. Then let's also put this to history. Let's navigate to history after we click the exit button. So let's go back to our home and let's go back and run our app. So here next, welcome to the quiz app. We've read our instructions. Oh, I forgot. Remember I told us that we needed to reset the app or the buttons. So let's go and reset it first before we start the running the app. So let's go back to finish. So reset. So this is the function for reset. So what are we resetting? We are going to reset a control. Remember, our control in the home button is radio 1. So we're going to reset radio 1, and you can reset as many as. So we're going to reset all the radio buttons or all the radio control. To reset 1 underscore 1, reset 1 underscore 2, reset 1 underscore 3, reset 1 underscore 4. I don't think there's reset 1 underscore 5. Let's see whether it shows in our options. So okay, there's no reset. So by resetting all. So let's go back to our home. Let's run this app. Okay, so our next, okay, we'll start this quiz. Then when we restart this quiz, we'll see what happens when it shows us. So we'll come to, let's assume Microsoft virtual agents, no, Facebook, yes, and finish. When we click exit, it takes us to our history. Now let's come back again and start our app. Next, next. So we can see our radio buttons has been reset. You can see our radio buttons has been reset. So this is one of the ways we can use to reset our button after creating our apps. So one thing we need to do again is to what do we need again? What do we need? Okay, let us make this a little bit fun. Let's make this a little bit fun. Let's put it in a way that whenever we take the quiz, depending on what your score is, it display an image to show you how impressed it is with you. So to do that, we add an image. Let's take this down a little bit. So for image, we'll make it the fill so that we can set our radius to 180, and we have that beautiful pattern of image. So we're going to put our images inside. So we're going to add an image. So we'll add all the images. We'll add all the images that we need. So in this part, what it does that currently it shows all the image, or it shows the yes, it shows all the image in this place, but it shows the first current one. So what we need to do is that let it display the image per our score. So we use a condition for our image. So if our score is greater than or equals to 8, what happens? Should display the eighth image. Else, if score is greater than or equals to 6, what does it do? It displays the sixth image. Else, if score is greater than equals to 4, what does it do? It displays 4 image. Else, display 0 image. Okay, I think there's an error somewhere. Else, display a 0 image. So what this does is that if the score is greater or is equal to 8, it will display the image that we added as 8. But if the score is less than 8, but it's greater than it's greater than 6, or it equals to 6. Wait, no, that shouldn't be the condition. If score is greater than or equals to 8, it will display 8. If the score, yes, if the score is greater than 6 or is equals to 6, but if it's greater than 8, it will display the 8 one. But if it's greater than 6 or is equals to 6, it will display the 6 image. If the score is greater than 4, it will display, or equals to 4, it will display the 4 image. But if it doesn't fill any of these conditions, then the default value that it will display is the 0 image. So let's go back to our app and see what happens. Let's go and run our app again and see what happens. So let me run this and click exit so that we can reset So let's come here and run this. So go next, Apple, YouTube, yes, yes, yes. Remember, we failed just one question. So this is the image that displays whenever we have a score um, greater or equal to 8. So let's try it again if it's really working. Let's try and get a score of 6 and let us see what it displays. So come back. Yes. So let's get this. Let's Power Platform. We get this. Let's get this. Then let's fill the two. So we can see that this image conforms with what we set as our score. So after that, remember we're supposed to it's supposed to take us back to our history when we're going to see all the recent or all the data that we've gotten while taking our our quiz. Let's go back to SharePoint, and we can see that SharePoint has been storing our data since we've been taking our app. So you can see SharePoint. So in the user email is it's capturing our user email. In this user score is capturing our score. In our date is capturing our date. So let's go back to SharePoint so that we can um, display our data. So our data source is quiz data. Then let's come here and refresh. Let's come here and refresh our let's refresh our data. So let's see. So we can see that the values are displaying after refreshing our data. But we want the value to be the value. We want the value to be let it display the current or let it display the date in ascending order. So one of the ways we can do is to change this. Let's change this to email the user date. So we can see the time that we took our quiz. Okay. So okay, let's format this. Let's format it. Let's make this bold. Let's make this 28. Let's make this bold too. Let's make this 28 too. Let it look bigger. So we don't need that. So one good thing about Power Apps is that whenever you delete a control in a gallery, it affects all the item in that gallery. So let us see again. Let's add a label inside this gallery. So we're going to add a label. I'll place it in the first gallery, and it automatically appears in the remainder of the gallery. So let's put this item dot user email. It's not showing, it's not coming yet. Come, coming. Let me delete this. Okay. Let me add the gallery again. Or let me take it to, why is it not okay? I want to capture the first part of it. Okay. So let me make this mm, let me make it like this. So the user score, let me format it. Okay, make it bold. Okay, something like this. This is basically what I was trying to do. But in terms of this first one, remember, like I said, whatever happens to the first one, it automatically applies to all of them. So what we have to do, let's make this not visible. So if we remove the visibility, we can see that all it applies to everything. So let's delete this too. So let's sort this data. So let's use the sort command to sort our data. So the sort, so the first thing it asks, first thing it asks is the name of the data. That is the source. Remember, our source is from Sharepoint. Then the expression, that is what do we want to sort. So we are going to sort the user date. And how do we want it to be sorted? We use descending. And see, it's even giving you options of what you what you should. So let's go back and take our app. We'll see that the next um, result is going to appear above this 6. So let's go back to our app. So Microsoft, not a power platform. YouTube could be used. SharePoint, yes. Who is the owner of Teams? Microsoft. Yes, there are over 270 connectors, and we can see. So we can see that the 10 has been added to our list, and it has been added at the top of the list because we wanted it in descending order. That is the date where the date is being taken. So remember, if you are going to an history of something, you don't if you are going for a recent date, you don't need to scroll down to go and check of for recent data. Your recent data is always displayed at the top. So that's why we are making our gallery appear like that. So let's create a button. Let's create a button that will take us back to home. Or let's use an icon to make our app look beautiful. So in our own select, we'll change this to navigate onboarding boarding instruction. Whenever we click this home button, it takes us back to our boarding instruction. So this is basically we've created our app, our quiz app, and connected it to SharePoint. So we can see how we've utilized SharePoint connector in saving, storing, and managing our data. Now let's make this app look more beautiful. Let's give it some top top notch design. So from wait, let me see. From home, let me see. Home. Okay, let's give it from here. So remember, in our nav bar we need to have a navigation menu, so that we'll be able to um, get a drawer. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll create a label. Let's make it look very cool. So make it half, then we put a fill color and change it to primary color, primary background. Let's leave it in primary fill dot color. Yes, yes. Then we make this, we bring it to the front. So after we bring it to the front, text, for the text, we don't put anything in the text. Then also we insert an icon. So we look for the hamburger menu. Yes. So we give it the color, and we change the color to primary color. Okay. So from here we insert an icon again, so that we reference it to our settings. So put the settings, a setting icon. What? Put this color of primary. Then we also need a history icon. So what icon can we use as history? Let me look for a suitable icon that we can use as history. Let's see. Okay, let's use this as history. Let's use this icon as history. So let's keep the color. Let's put this at primary color also. So let's give it a name, because it's not all users that will understand what those colors are, or what those icons are. So let's give it a name. Let's make these settings. So let's see, we can copy and paste it. So We'll name this to history. And formats, let's give it some formats. Bold. We give it color, a white color, which is the primary color. Also for the settings, we'll do the same thing for the settings. We'll give it a color. Give it a primary color. That color. Then make it bigger, 28. Then make it bold, 28. So this looks something like a normal app that we have been creating, even with um, probably Flutter or Android. So let's group this. Let's group this together. So we're going to group this together so that a user can click any of them at the same time. So group this one together. So what happens when a user click any of them? So we're going to set the unselect to navigate, and we select it to the settings page. We are going to the settings page. Whenever we click this history or the icon, it will take us to history page. So we're good to go. Then also we need to set the menu icon. We need to set the menu icon to whenever we click it, we set the default value to true. So I'm going to set what's the name of the icon, or what is the name of the variable? Let's say show panel. Let's set it to true. So what happens, what we're trying to do is that whenever we click this icon, all this drawer, that is this label and this settings and history, they are going to show. But when we click another icon, all this is going to be removed. So let's create another icon. Let's add another icon that we can use to cancel. Let's use a better, a finer icon for cancel. I like those circle icon. That is here. Okay, yeah, this is it. That is it. So I'm going to change the color also to white. So I'll name it the primary color as usual, white. So like we said earlier, whenever we click this, we want show panel want to show this panel, and whenever we click this, we want it also to remove this panel. So one of the ways we do this is to, since we set the show panel here to true, we show the panel here to false. So we're going to unselect. So we set show panel as the variable equals to false. Then we do a little grouping. We group all this. Yes, we group this. So in our visible, we'll set this to true. If, why do you want to set this to true? So if we go, if show panel is equal to true, show it, that's true, else false. Else, if panel is false, then false. True, else true. Okay, so what this means that if show panel, if we click this, if we're going to click this, show this group, show all this group. But if we click this, it is going to it's not going to show. Let's try it. Let's try it. What if we did this? Is correct. So let me see. Okay, let me set the visibility to hidden first. No, not that. Group 3 properties. Let me see whether this one select. Okay, if true. So why is it? Where's this? Normally, this the visibility. Let me see if my conditions are right. If show panel is true, okay, I've set it to true, right? So if panel is true, I want my visibility to be true. Okay, let me try something. Let me ungroup this. Let me ungroup this. So I have only this. So I'm grouping this. I'll group this two. Then I group this only. So I group this. So I don't know why it's showing false. Let me see. Let me change the coordination. Okay. Well, this button now, I don't know why it's not. This is supposed to set the visibility. It's supposed to set the visibility at false. Let me save this app. Let me publish this. Let me reset. Let me reset the site. Okay. I hope it works this time. So let's go back to our. Okay. So let's run our app. Oh, it's not showing. Hmm. That's good. Let's check our group and let's see the visibility. Show panel is goes to true. That means our app is actually working, but I don't know why the thing is not is. I don't know why. Let me save it again. Oh, well, let me don't save it. Let me see. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do for our visible. Is false. True.
How long is the event?
Okay, this is just the last this is just the last way, but I'm just trying to make sure that like whenever I click the close button, the drawer goes away. Whenever I click the menu button, the app comes back. So that's what I was trying. Okay, okay, I think
Okay.
Okay, I think I've yes, yes, it's working now. It's working now. So let me give you an example of
What
what
is
I was
an
trying to
ETA
do.
at the end of the event still?
You said
What is an estimated time for the event to go on? How long will it take more?
in less than 10 minutes I'm done. This is
That's
just the
fine. I mean,
last.
if you want more time, it's okay. But I was just just taking it for
Okay,
personal
this is just
reference.
the last. This is just the last one that I was trying to
Okay,
work
okay.
on.
So 10 more
Yes,
minutes, right?
yes, yes,
All right,
yes.
all
10
right.
minutes. Okay. So what I was trying to do is that whenever we click the menu, it will display the settings history together with this void, and whenever we click close, it will close itself. But it's only showing. Okay, let me go back again and see the labels for that. Labels. Where is this label? Okay, let's see. Let's try it again. If show panel true, then let's show it. Else, if panel is false, false. Otherwise, true. Okay, so let's run our app. Okay, okay. So this is what I was trying to do here. So we've been able to set our drawer to um show panel and not show panel. Then one beautiful thing about this is we can as well just copy all this. We can copy all this to our history, copy our menu. Okay, copy this and this also. Mm, yes. Paste this here. So let's see again. So we can see. So this is one of the ways we can use to like modify our app. So we can see how Power Apps has helped us a lot to create a quiz app. So we can send this app to if we're in an education sector, if we have a school, we can send this quiz to their students so that they can as well see their scores and um, take records of their score and their names. So this is one of the ways we can use one of Power Apps connector to connect with our um, um, Power Apps using the Sharepoint connector. And we can see how Sharepoint connector has been a way to optimize our app instead of us looking to our source data from maybe probably SQL, or we need to go and import from an external source. We can as well employ the use of Microsoft SharePoint to connect our data. So that's all for now. So you can let me stop sharing my screen. So that's all about that about um, utilizing Power Apps with SharePoint connector. Then also we can you can if there's any questions I can take before we end the session. Are there any questions for me? Are you there, Simant? Hello, Simant. Are you there? I can't hear him. Okay, you can follow me on Instagram. If there's no more questions, you can follow me on LinkedIn at Roosevelt Abandi. You can also follow me on Twitter with Dev Roosevelt so that we can connect. And if there's still any question, I'll just hold on for a little while so that he can as well connect me. Thank you very much.
So, hi, thank you a lot, Roosevelt, for the session. Sorry, I was AFK. Uh, there is the presentation slide. You can conclude accordingly. Are you there as well? Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I'm there.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I was
Please.
done with the session.
I'm really sorry. I was AFK for like 2 minutes. Had an emergency. You can please conclude the session.
Okay, so what I wanted to say was that you can actually follow me at on LinkedIn and on Twitter so that we can connect and share more information about not just SharePoint but other Microsoft connectors. You know that Microsoft Power Apps connectors, there are over 270 connectors, and SharePoint is just one of those connectors. So if you have other connectors that we can look at in a way that we can store data, share information, manage information, we can also talk about that. So that's all about that using utilizing SharePoint with Power Apps. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Roosevelt, for the great session. I hope everyone liked the session and they'll be here for more. Thank you again, Roosevelt. So I'll end the broadcast here. Thank you again, Roosevelt.
Yeah, thank you so much.